hello, seeing Scarlet. I'm going to change it up a little bit. And I think, Shelby, we should introduce this episode with one big let's go.
Let's go. Joey McGuire, my man.
We're talking about our guy, Joey McGuire, Texas Tech head football coach. Y'all, he climbed the crane.
That
he
man
did
crazy.
it.
He is so crazy, and I love him for it.
He's just like our guy, you know? Like,
It's like he was made in a lab to be a Red Raider. I don't understand how he came to be here. I know his daughter went to Texas Tech. I know all that, but like, this man, we're so lucky.
The lab is underneath the Jones, actually, is where they...
That's not where he was created.
Yeah,
we just sent him.
this.
We sent him off as like a test rabbit to Baylor for a few years. And like,
Test
okay,
rabbit.
it worked. Bring him back home.
He's back home.
He's too hyped to be a test rat. Like, you got
totally.
Too much, energy. He had to be a rabbit.
Totally. I want to see like a compilation video of him saying like "Let's go," and we're going to talk about that here in a minute too. But like, that would just be, I think, really meaningful to me. So, Joey, we're going to have a lot of requests for you this episode. We do. I think so. Which is so great. So let's talk about it. If y'all have no idea what we're yelling at you about,
where have you been?
Yeah, where have you been?
It's like
maybe not on Twitter, I guess.
Week,
but yeah, so Joey McGuire, like y'all know, there's tons of construction going on at the Jones with the new additions and things like that. And in the middle of it sits a huge, tall, just enormous industrial sized crane.
The Red Raider Club
Red Raider Club put their brand on it.
It's advertising.
It's such a great advertisement, especially now.
Yeah.
But here, let me set the scene for everybody so that we're all on the same page. So grab your favorite blanket, get nice and settled in. Just kidding. This will take like 5. You do have a blanket. That's amazing. You were like, okay, check. Next. That's amazing.
Cold.
Okay, well, I'm standing up for this one because I feel like I need to channel the Joey in me right here. All right, so let's flash back to April 19th, a nice, peaceful day. The weather was fantastic. And Texas Tech football, their Twitter account, posted like what looks like a text message. It's a text message thread with Joey McGuire. And it has like Coach Joey as the contact. And the message says, how many retweets to get you up on that crane, Joey McGuire? And Joey replies back with probably he should have known better, but he was like, give me 3,000 retweets. And Texas Tech said, all right, hold my beer, watch this.
It'll take a day.
This will take 5 minutes, so I guess start your training now. So of course, as it happens, there was like well over like 3,500 retweets. So everybody's like, okay, Joey, it's time. And there were so many tweets back and forth of like even Debbie, like his wife, getting into it and saying like, no, his daughter was like, wait, can you do this after I get married because I need you to walk me down the aisle? Like,
it was one of those.
Nobody doubted him.
Want this to happen? Like there was like Texas Tech Twitter was,
I know.
Yay! This is way, and then everyone thought about, wait, don't do this, Coach. Please don't do. Wait, but do we want to do it? And, like people didn't know what to think.
I know,
but we were hype about it. All on the inside, we're excited, but also like
concern. You know, we love him. It's a level of safety that we're concerned about with him. But I remember,
our coach would get injured.
I know. Yeah. Don't jinx it. Well, it already happened.
It's already happened.
Yeah. Do whatever you want now. But yeah, I totally saw it as like a very memeable thing. Like we love memes. Texas Tech fans. We
Symbols
love something silly.
Or cling on to it.
We love to cling on to that type of stuff.
All of it.
Totally. So, and I'm curious about your reactions too, Shelby. But I remember like when he was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm like, who came up with this idea of like him climbing the crane, you know, like so unique to have thought about that specific act.
Probably been fired. Send him that text.
So I'm thinking about that. I'm like, we all know Lubbock, right? Like we know how windy it is, correct? So that was something. And then I started laughing to myself because I'm like, what? Like maybe athletics intern was told that day, like, hey, we're going to need you to go climb this crane with Joey McGuire and take some video.
I was thinking, like, who was up there with them?
Yeah, so there was an article that talked about, like, there's people that professional that go up and down that crane every single day, and some media team. But, like, they went through some training or, like, had precautions, like, every step of that.
He was not strapped in. I was expecting him to have, like, a core. He did not.
I know,
Furthermore, he was in slick bottom, wood bottom boots.
Oh,
like,
no.
cowboy boots.
How did
like,
you know?
Come on. It's in a picture, and I was, like, concerned when I saw it. I'm like, this man just climbed a crane in cowboy boots.
Shelby's working for OSHA now, y'all. She's like, those
boots
are not approved.
Work boots. They had no grip on them. This man could have slipped at any moment.
Okay.
I was concerned.
So
he's that brave. He just trusts the process that much.
That's another thing I was thinking about too, of like thinking of scary things or, you know, the pressure of it. And they didn't tell anybody when they were doing this. They just did it. And I think to avoid, you know, people going there and like watching him do it. Can you imagine the pressure of like all Red Raider Nations just yelling at you to climb up this huge crane?
I don't know if they turned it off, but there's a live feed at any time. You can go on the Texas Tech website and watch the construction process. So I wonder if they turned the live feed off when this was happening, or if people that actually went on YouTube to watch this. I've never done it, but I know that there's a link on the website somewhere. You can go on, and it's just there. Like, you can go click it right now. Like, were there people that were just like staking out, watching, waiting for Joey McGuire? Like, oh my gosh, is it happening? There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of activity at the crane today,
dude. I mean, like
imagine that was happening for people that have been watching the cam.
The tweet that we got this to happen at all happened on April 19th. He didn't climb, or the video of him didn't drop until June 23rd, like a few days ago.
Do you know why that was? Did you catch that part of the story? Debbie finally gave in and agreed, fine, you can do this, but after Reagan, their daughter, got married in late May. And so the agreement was, I'm going to let him do this, but after
good.
He walks our daughter down the aisle.
Good.
So that was the agreement. So that's why we had to wait a little while, because that happened in late May, and then there was all the recruiting trips going on. So the man's busy.
So I wonder if somebody was watching the feed from like over a month.
Someone was. I want to interview that person.
I did too.
If you're listening
Maybe.
to this, let me know who you are. You can come on and tell your side of the story.
Truly. So I mean, like, as Shelby was stating about his boots, like the only thing that he had was like he was wearing, you know, a pair of jeans, a bright highlighter color vest, and a hard hat.
Of course.
But
Safety first.
Dude, he wasn't like strapped in
at all.
And he climbs a ladder up to the top, the tippity top, and all I could think about was like, you know, when you climb up a set of stairs and you get to the top and you're like, I am so exhausted. I can't talk to anybody because they're gonna know that I'm breathing heavy. But Joey McGuire gets up all the way to the top, and the first thing he says is, "Whoa!" But he's like not out of breath or anything, and I'm like, well, this man is strong.
Or like comatose on the floor. I consider myself to be in decent shape, but you asked me to climb a ladder with no brakes. Maybe he was able to take brakes. I don't know. Straight
even
up,
then,
all arms and oh my gosh,
that's scary.
I'd be like, guys, give me 5 minutes to lay here and die, and then someone bring me back, respawn me, and then we'll have this interview.
And you know, like being up that high in Lubbock, Texas, you can see for decades. You know what I mean? So like, I wonder if it was scary for him.
No, he talked about it being a beautiful view, actually. He
Good.
said it was a great view from up there. And another little insider information, I had a conversation, because me and him are great friends, with Raider Red on Twitter.
Yes.
And our man, he wanted to go up there, but he couldn't fit in his hat wouldn't fit through the little
hat.
So he had to stand at the bottom and just watch.
Oh, Raider Red, you know.
Sorry, Raider Red.
That's where we draw the line. Head football coach, get up there. Mascot.
I mean, to be fair, Raider Red's footwear was more appropriate. So, but if he could have taken the hat off, which is not possible, unfortunately, he would have been able to get up there.
Oh, that's great. So, okay, so he climbs up this ladder. The first thing he says is like, whoa. And the whole like video, if y'all haven't watched it, it's like, how can we make somebody climbing up a ladder like really entertaining? So the music, it feels like you're watching a Transformers movie,
Rocky,
you know, like
Rocky running up the stairs.
I know. I was like, maybe he's gonna jump off this thing and like parachute down.
I think maybe someone said he wanted to bungee off of it, but they wouldn't let him.
Oh my! This man. All right, maybe we need to scale back. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true, but we can confirm it when he comes on the show. Someday.
True. And the best, I mean, like the coolest part, I mean, there's so many cool parts about it, but what he says, and Shelby, I know you know what he said almost verbatim because you retweeted it and it gasses you up. So he gets up on the top. We get this camera view of him on top of the crane. He's like, hey, Red Raider Nation, make sure you get your season tickets. And then he says, I quote, we need to find out if they can handle 60 minutes of us. 60 minutes of us.
By God. Give me some pads right now. I will go mess somebody up.
Put in
one
our
play.
veins.
Give me
It's in our
one
veins.
play.
One play.
That's all I got in
special.
me. Put me on the kickoff. I
love that.
After hearing that, I will
love it.
knock somebody to the ground.
We need to find out if they can handle 60 minutes of us.
They can't handle 1 minute of me running down the field at all. I can't imagine how much they can handle of those Red Raiders. I am ready to run through a wall if you're doing that.
I know. So, I mean, like, such a hype message from a hype guy that came from this silly social media thing. And if Red Raider knows anything, Red Raider Nation knows anything, it's like we really love people like that. And I think what was also neat is I went to see, like, okay, season tickets. How am I going to tell, our listeners where to go and stuff like that? Obviously, like their website, but the button that you click on instead of, go here or buy now, it says, let's go. It's like the button that you press to get Texas Tech football tickets.
That is great marketing. From
I'm like,
someone
yes.
that loves marketing, does
That
it every
is-
day. I need to shake your hand.
I know.
Whatever staff
It's
member
such a
did that.
small like thing, but it's so cool.
Brilliant. Because we're
Brilliant.
talking about it, and that's what marketing is about. But that's not what this podcast is about. That's great. I'm going to use that
That's
for
true.
future lessons somewhere else. Go.
That's
Love
true.
it. Let's
Good
go.
point.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Let's go. And so once you click on that link, if y'all are on the fence about buying season tickets for the football team, their season, I found tickets as low as like $209 for the whole season.
They're pretty affordable considering
Very.
it's a really good home schedule. If I remember,
Very-
we got
yeah.
some really good teams coming to town. And
Yeah. Even if you're not like a Red Raider fan, if you're just like a college football fan, you would see a lot of different variety.
You got
Yeah.
Oregon to kick it off, and they're all a lot of night games scheduled, which I swear we had, which we weren't very good, so that's fair. When I was in school, 1-2 night games my entire flipping career at Tech.
Dude,
now
that's
they have
brutal.
6 in one season.
I know.
Like, it's just, I'm jealous of y'all.
Yeah.
That is my,
Prime time,
that's-
baby.
I'm bitter, but I'm happy that we're good enough to deserve those games now. Because
Yeah.
we were not in the Tuberville era, so
Yeah.
that's fair.
Ooh, we don't speak it.
But yeah, so, I'm hyped.
Joey,
$209 is cheap for
I know.
that many games. You could probably sell your Oregon game. Why would you? But a little business advice
make
here:
your-
you could
yeah.
make back your entire thing, or hold it for one of the big games
Right.
later, and make back your entire season and go to the rest of them for free. So
Yeah. So go check it out. Make sure you click on that button that says "Let's go."
let's go.
But huge shout out to Joey McGuire to continue to be like just the guy. Like he's such a Texas Tech guy. And
love him so
I
much.
saw an interview he was doing with somebody else, or like maybe a reporter asked him a question because, I mean, we're expecting so many really great things of coming from this football season, and a lot of it, I mean, even the recruiting alone, like Joey's just doing so many great things. And they said something about like, would you ever go to Texas A&M or UT or whatever? And he's like, dude, like, I
Bury
love
me
it here. You know,
Bury
like he was,
me in Lubbock. is what he
yeah,
says.
he was just so like authentic in his answer of just like, nah, dude, like this
I
is a
don't-
waste of a
And
question.
I believe him. Like,
Yeah.
I know and I understand the hesitancy from Texas Tech fans because we had one
We've
Chris
had it.
Beard
We've
say
heard it
all
all.
that.
Yeah.
He said all that. He said all that. I would never leave. He said it to the day before he was leaving. He was saying
Yep.
that. So I get the hesitancy, but there's something different. There was always a little like Chris Beard's a little bit of a car salesman vibe when you talk to him.
Sure.
People don't say that about Joey McGuire. He's legitimate. My only concern for Joey McGuire leaving Texas Tech is the NFL. I'm gonna be honest. I think if the NFL calls, he'd consider it. I don't think he's going to take another college football job.
And even if he does, like, for some reason, I feel like it would be done in a way that we would be like,
Very respectfully, and it'd be
All right,
to
Joey.
like
We
Bama
love you.
or
Yeah.
something. Like he's not going to UT. He's not going to A&M. Like he's
Right.
just too far down the Texas Tech life. He's just not going to. He's just not that
Yeah.
kind of guy, and you know
I know.
that. And so if that day ever comes, it just means good things, guys. That means we've probably won a Big 12 championship. We've made it to the playoffs.
That's
That's
true.
when you're on that chance to lose a guy like him. And I don't think he's going anywhere. The way he runs the program, since we're talking about Joey McGuire, something else that came out this week that I thought was really cool, it might have been that same interview you saw, is they asked him about his recruiting approach. And I don't think we're the only program that does this, but he runs his recruiting like NFL teams run their recruiting. So old school recruiting would be like, hey, if you're the running backs coach, Sibby, you would find a guy, you'd watch film, or maybe Maguire would find a guy and say, hey, watch films, tell me what you think. Do we want to offer him? That's how it happened for, like, the recruiting coaches would kind of pick their own players and it'd go kind of basically in a layman's term, very basic, more complicated than that, but that's how it used to work. How he does it is we have Blanchard, who's at the top of he just does recruiting. He's a scouting department. He identifies players. He says, hey, coach, I want to offer him. He offers them before the position coach even knows. Like, there's guys that are getting offered and told, like, hey, we offered this guy. A position coach hasn't even watched film on him. So that's a little something different for position coaches. They have to get used to that. Like, the guy that came in from Oregon, who's our defensive coordinator, said, like, yeah, I had to get used to it, and I wasn't quite sure about it. But coach told me, hey, go watch film on the 6 guys we already have offered without this happening. Tell me if you disagree with any of them, and we can talk. And he goes and does that, and he's like, no, these are all great.
Looks great.
And it takes off so much work from, like, Cliff Kingsbury would have loved this. That guy hated recruiting. If he could, you get him they don't have to worry about recruiting, really. They gotta
just worry about
identify
what
players
you got.
or whatever. They coach. Our position coaches actually coach at Texas Tech.
Yep.
And that's what players want. You heard Micah Hudson say that in an interview this weekend. Someone asked him, a UT reporter asked Micah Hudson, what are you looking for? What do you like about Texas Tech? He said, I like that their position coaches coach. Their coaches coach us. They don't just cuss us out. They don't just, this was a dig at Texas. He says they don't just put fancy cars out there. And, like, he didn't say that was a dig at Texas, but if you saw the videos, that was a shot at Texas, which LOL.
Yeah,
They treat us as humans. They treat us equally. They don't treat me any better than anyone else, and that's how I wanted to be treated.
Good.
I want to go somewhere where they will coach me. And it all comes down to Maguire and how he runs the program. He allows his coaches to focus on coaching. He has a whole scouting department for scouting and recruiting.
Great.
And I'm assuming other programs do that as well. I'm sure he learned that at Baylor and other places he's been, or maybe he came up with this on his own, but I think the other big programs do it. But there's a reason that's working. We are the first people in on a lot of these players. We're offering a lot of these players before anyone else even knows they exist. And so these big-time programs come in last minute and they steal them from us. And that sucks. It hurts. But some of them are staying with us because we offered them first. And that's how you grow. And it's all because of Joey McGuire. That was not how he ran things before. And he's a first-time head coach. And that was the biggest knock on him, is can he run a program? This man stepped in and changed everything. And is doing it in an innovative way that's making us stand out, and hired the right people like Blanchard and other people in that department to do it. And Joey, if you happen to be listening to this, on behalf of everybody but myself, and Sibby can say the same, I just thank you so much for being a Red Raider and bringing your energy to this university of fans that really deserve it. We've been through some tough times, and it's been struggle and all that, and you came in at a really important time, and there's a lot of energy on the other side of campus, and we talk about all the time with Gerlich and all of them, but we needed it in football, and I love Joey McGuire.
I know.
So much.
I think I've talked about this before, but with head football coaches, I've always had a level of, like, scrutiny sometimes because they talk about, like, oh, I can't wait to show up to all these different sporting events besides football and support all the different teams. And I always ask, I'm like, cool, like, I saw that you're at the men's basketball game. Are you going to go to the women's basketball game? And, like, I don't remember I think it was maybe Matt Wells that, like, he replied to me and he's like, oh yeah, totally, definitely. And I don't think it ever happened.
Matt Wells is a good dude.
Yeah. I mean, but like,
he would show up for like a quarter and then leave.
And that's like, if you're going to say it, back it up. You know what I mean? And, like, there's so much of the conversation that we have of just showing up to games, and, like, that alone in itself is, like, the value that the women's sports. Dude, before I could even have a chance to tweet at him about it and be like, hey, Joey, like, you gonna come to the softball game?
Tickets?
Dude, he's everywhere. Like, he's at all of the things that are going on.
I'm sure it's not every game, but it feels like he's at every I think Debbie is a big basketball fan, so they really are. But
yeah, But I mean, like he's showing up, and
Softball.
I didn't even have to tweet at him.
He was at the Matadors, which is not even a Texas Tech sport. It's a pro team
Lubbock,
in town. He was at the Matadors game this weekend. I'm like, how does this man breathe? Where does he have the time? Take a nap, buddy. But no, we appreciate that.
Because he's climbing cranes.
That is probably one of the things we appreciate most outside of football is he's big time supporter. And he doesn't just retweet stuff, he quote tweets it about the other person, which is subtle, but I like when players, that's when we grew to like Harmon for that, because he would like support the women's teams. Whatever you think about him and his time on the court, whatever, that's fine. Outside of that, he grew on me because he supported the women's teams. He would quote tweet them. He didn't just like do the bare minimum and hit retweet. And Joey does the same thing. He'll be like, did y'all see that game last night? You're missing out. Like, he'll put stuff like that out there, and that gets people to go watch. So, we love you, Joey.
We do. Yeah. Big,
open invite.
Big fan. DMs are open. So
anytime.
Let us know when you want to.
You
we
and
can all
Debbie can come
collectively.
together?
Yeah. Let's just do.
We can have the family on. We'll take all of them. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We can talk
Let's
about
do an
football,
episode on the
basketball.
crane.
Let's do a crane. Let's do a Maguire origin episode. Who are you?
Who are
how
you?
did you come to be? And how can we
there a
recreate you
lab
for every
underneath?
program on campus?
Yes, huge Joey fan. Super excited for the football season this year. Again, go check out season tickets if you can. If not, dang, it just seems it feels a lot different this year. About a lot of optimism and excitement.
Yeah, I hope there's not too much, y'all. Don't turn on our guy. You turn on Joey, I will fight you.
Yeah, you heard her. She'll mess you up,
fight
y'all.
I might not look too great on the other end, but you won't either.
You should see the other guy, but also me too. Yeah.
Also, it'll be ugly, but they'll look just as bad.
So, that's our guy, Joey, our guy, climbing a crane. That's what I got for you.
That's what we got. All right, team.
Amazing.
Go buy your season tickets for football. Go recruit Micah Hudson. Guys, he hasn't committed, publicly yet. That's our update on him. It sounds like maybe he committed behind the scenes, but no one really knows. He's still taking his visits. We'll see. That saga continues. But either way, man, fun times ahead. Get the tickets. Be there. Maybe we'll see you at some tailgates this fall. But until then, follow us. We appreciate y'all watching this. See you next time.
Wreck 'em, y'all.
Wreck 'em.